Hi, Amy. How are you? It's good to see you.
Good to see you, Hugo. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're joining me and DESTINO because I wanted to talk to you and chat about the work that you've done as a set decorator, specifically on How I Met Your Father and Frasier, Two Broke Girls, and
Mhm.
currently we're doing Happy's Place.
Yep, yep, yep.
Would you be able to start with your name and what you do?
Sure. My name is Amy Feldman, and I am a set decorator. And I love what I do. I've been doing it a long time. So, yeah,
Yeah, I
happy
would
to
love
talk.
to pick your brain
Mhm.
about how it is for you on day one when you receive a script. What do you look for and who do you collaborate with?
Well, when I read a script, first I look at all the sets and see what the sets are,
Yeah,
and see, how what the size of the show is, and then that's just really not that deep, but just to get an overall picture of the size of the scale of the show.
right.
But then I read and I try to get a sense of the characters and in my mind what their environment looks like, if it's their home, if it's a bar, if it's a school or what
Yeah,
and I may start doing that in my head, but I collaborate with Glenda Ravello because I've been working with her, the production designer,
yeah,
for oh God, no, 15 years maybe, I don't know, at least. And
right,
then we collaborate, and she obviously, as the designer, has her ideas, and she's collaborated with the creators.
right.
So she gets their feedback and then designs, creates boards. And I get a lot of inspiration from her. And I look at her boards where she has images just for reference of the set. And a lot of times she'll have, like wallpaper and flooring and we just talk about each set, and she'll say, well, they want this, but I want to have it look like, I want this character to have plants, and I want this character is young and doesn't have a lot of money, and I just take her information and I
Yeah,
just shopping. That's like for like a when we're starting a show,
right.
and I start shopping. I get the plans that art director Connie Marinos will have drawn.
Yeah.
And, I just start going out there and just getting an overall look for what's out there in the world to shop for.
Yeah, exactly. So what is it like when you're asked to design, for example, the set for Sophie in the future for 2050 on How I Met Your Father?
Yeah, that was fun because that was completely different
Yeah.
than Sophie's apartment in How I Met Your Father when she was young.
Yeah.
We're jumping to when she was an adult and miraculously turned into Kim Cattrall. So, it wasn't, they didn't want it to be like futuristic. There was a few modern techno things like, the iPads in the wall that we put in, like she talks to.
Yeah.
Um, but the whole design that Glenda did was very modern, but not ultra modern. It had more of like a woodsy feel, like it was aesthetically beautiful and comforting.
Yeah.
Um, Big windows, and we just looked for more contemporary, upscale furniture, but very specific pieces, and just completely different from the look of Father. Just
Yeah.
completely opposite. Just more sleek and more modern. Just to for a big contrast for what everything was back in the early 2000s or late 90s is what it was. Yeah.
And how do you do a jump from something designing something like that futuristic to a bar set that we have specifically like Pemberton's? How did that come about?
Oh my gosh, that was fun because starting from scratch, I
Yeah.
know Linda told me she got her inspiration from a bar, I forgot what it was called, in New York, that
Okay.
she talked to the showrunners about.
Yeah.
And so she showed them some pictures and then talked to me about it and what the floor was going to be like, and the feel, like they wanted a lot of, since it was like a family bar, it was
Right.
originally owned by, well, he bought it from someone, but he didn't really change much about it. He changed a little bit, but a lot of the images on the wall, they wanted it to be like old families that from the and some history of New York and a lot of different families over the years, and just to have a warm feel of there was some tables, but there was also that seating area,
Right.
where you could sit and be more comfortable and cozy. And there was a big curtain when you walk in, which is more inviting. It wasn't just a door. It was, the curtains bring a lot of warmth to me,
Yeah.
Um, so it was a fun to even just find those images, just to find old families and from different generations and different cultures to put on the wall. Just to that's what New York is. It's a melting pot of people, and we represented that on the walls. So
Yeah, exactly. That's one of my favorite things to witness on the set is when it starts from just like bare bones and all the way to actually a living set.
yeah.
It- What is it like when you get to show your set to the producers and to the showrunners and getting feedback from those guys?
Well, especially like in a pilot, when you're first setting up a show,
Yeah.
you really just, closing your eyes and crossing your fingers, like, I hope it works, um, because when you're writing it on the page, the words on a page,
Yeah.
our job is to bring it to life,
Yeah.
So when they do a walkthrough, we always hope that it's like they go, "Oh, this is just what we thought," So, um, and we don't have a lot of time. I mean, I think I had 3 weeks prep to do all of those sets, soup to
Yeah.
nuts. So I had to buy the bar stools, I had to have things upholstered, I had, it was the sconces, the lighting, everything they want. The sconces we thought weren't changed; they were just original from the original bar. So
Yeah.
for some, even as far as back as Deco. So you just always hope you take their notes. Glenda takes their notes, and she always incorporates that into her design. And I work with Glenda very closely. I show her a lot. We talk about a lot of the stuff I'm going to bring in, and it's very much a collaboration with Glenda because she's an amazing designer, and I trust her, and I think we have a great work relationship, and we pull it together somehow. It works, so it's always fun, and when they like it, it feels good, and when they say yes, this is it, it's a great feeling. So
Yeah, no, one of the other things from this show was that there was certain episodes that actually had more than like 10 swing sets.
hi, yep, they
What
sure did.
what was those
It
episodes
was,
like?
oh my gosh. Well, oh my God. Well, it was a busy show. We had two
Yeah,
stages, and then we'd often go on the back lot. Um, and sometimes there were sets within sets, or they would put sets up overnight, and we'd have to dress them in the morning. And it was a very fast-paced show. And we had my lead man, Quint Schoenberg, who was
yeah,
amazing. Um, we ran a lot. We had a big crew, so because we had constantly people picking up, set dressing, and returning and dressing. It was a lot. It was a lot of running and running and running, and just kind of chasing the episode.
yeah,
But all the time, I always care so much about the sets. It wasn't just throwing it in. We all wanted it to look good. So it was just
right.
it was a busy show.
Yeah, even the sets, like I could remember the bodega that was in there for maybe like 10 seconds, but we still made sure that all the details were there.
And
Everything looked
yep.
great.
Yeah, it was very dense. And oh yeah, Susan Nesselbach helped me with that episode, another decorator, because that was such a busy episode.
Yeah,
Because we had the backstage of a concert venue. We had a lot, but yeah, that was a very dense. It was a very short scene, but it looked just like a bodega.
yeah,
Everything was filled, the food and the cash. It was. That's how we do it. You give me a set, you tell me what you want it to be like, we're going to do it, no matter
yeah,
how long. If it's a third of a page or 2 pages, I'm going to deliver what you wrote. I hope so.
exactly.
That's what we do. So
Yeah, and what was it like for you when we did have to go into the back lot and we got an like basically the Paramount backlot, very like clean, and it was our job to fill it. How was that for you?
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, it was, I mean, it's always fun and a challenge because we turned it into, Brooklyn, and
Yeah.
we would scout it first and decide and what storefronts they would be. And, you would do a lot of the amazing signage. So that would help me dress.
Yeah.
And, Glenda and Connie, they would, we would talk about the storefronts, and they weren't that deep. It was mostly a storefront and just maybe a few feet back, but
Yeah.
it was still a lot to fill up the front. And it was, once we got it down, because we'd have like a laundromat, a bodega, a Chinese restaurant, a dry cleaner, a bakery, and the bar, the exterior of
Yeah.
the bar. It was a lot at first, but then once we kept recurring, going back there, it became,
Yeah.
like, okay, we know what to do. So we got it faster. It was still a lot to set up
Yeah.
because we put the sconces up, we had to do the pickups, and it was a lot of work, but we would usually sometimes just get the day to dress it, because usually they would come out there at night. It was often just, like night shoots out there. So
Right.
we would get the morning. The guys would get out there real early. We'd unload the truck, and and then that was with the main street. But once in a while, like this time, we had the toy store and we had a flower shop and coffee shop. We did that whole dance number.
Yeah, exactly.
We had the store with all the, I forgot what it was, the cabbage store, when you made all the graphics for
Right.
everything cabbage, which is really funny. There was a big dress. So, but we did it.
Yeah,
It
we
was
took
fun. It was
over that
fun.
back lot all the time.
Yeah, I know it inside and out. And doing the toy store was a lot of fun. So, yeah. So,
Well, doing work for a show like How I Met Your Father, how do you compare it to a sitcom like Two Broke Girls?
well, I mean, the work in the end is the same. It's just the schedule is different.
Yeah.
Um, the pace is different because, How I Met Your Father, it was called a multi-camera, but it wasn't made like a multi-camera because, there was two stages. It was almost shot like a single camera show because of
Ah,
so many sets. Um, and where's Two Broke Girls, which was a really high-end show as well. That was, Michael Patrick King created that. So
yeah.
the design aspect, that was, the expectations were very high. So for a multi-camera, that was, design wise, it was really off the charts for some level. That was like the first show I did with Glenda,
Right.
uh, and Michael Patrick King. So it was a challenge for me, but it
Uh-huh.
also made me step out of the box. And I loved it because I learned so much on that show about me and from Glenda and from Michael, and to reach those standards.
Yeah.
Um, but multi-camera was, you would rehearse, like say if it's a Tuesday night show, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we shoot Monday, Tuesday. It was just an audience show. Father was not an audience show. We would
Oh.
just 5 days a week.
Mhm.
So it's like you're constantly, okay, we did this today, that tomorrow. It's just constantly moving.
Yeah.
Uh, so the pace is completely different. And
And
every day we
hours.
would have sets. Every day we'd have sets. And the changes that you expect to come, you just deal with it. You roll with it, right?
You have to.
Yeah, you do.
For a
So
show like Two Broke, what was one of the most memorable sets that you got to do?
My gosh, there was a lot because Michael writes some funny stuff, but I do like, when towards the end, was it the end, like when the girls went to Hollywood. Um,
Okay.
we did this Hollywood hotel, and it was supposed to be like old Hollywood, with a big staircase that Glenda designed. It was a beautiful hotel. I think we went to the Sunset, was it called the Sunset Tower, the Sunset Hotel on Sunset
Okay.
Boulevard, for some research. Um, but it wanted to have an old, like a throwback to the old Hollywood era. Because I had pictures of old Hollywood movie stars on the walls that we had to get cleared and printed. But I did that through Warner Brothers because I went to the archives and
Oh,
got
okay.
images from their archives that were
Yeah.
cleared. Um, and it was glamorous. It was some deco, some modern, and a grand staircase, and the bar was just this really cool Hollywood bar, like a Hollywood hotel bar. Nothing like I had done before at that point. And the design that Glenda did was just gorgeous. And it was nothing like I had done yet on Two Broke Girls. So it was really a fun set to do. We had enough time to prep it because we knew it was coming. So we had, we were able to buy some beautiful furniture, and
Yeah.
because it was like for several episodes. So it was fun to do and
Well,
challenging.
for those young people that would want to be a set decorator, what are some of the places that you recommend that they look at for renting or for buying for their own sets?
Oh, for rent. Well, there's a lot of great prop houses out there.
Yeah.
I got a lot. That show was on the Warner Brothers lot.
Okay.
So I went to the Warner Brothers prop house, which has a plethora of and a range of furniture from, early or 19th century to modern. And it's full of, 3 floors of amazing
Yeah.
pieces, Western to contemporary. And, and they have a great hand prop room and Universal as well. Unfortunately, due to the climate of the industry, some really good prop houses have closed.
Yeah.
Don't want to be a downer, but it's true. Um, but for artwork, I could go to Art Pick to rent cleared artwork, contemporary, modern, cleared artwork that
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about clearance in Hollywood Studio Gallery, Hollywood Cinema Arts. There's Nest from, a lot of commercials use Nest because it's very like just simple but nice. If you want to do like a nice house,
Yeah.
you can Nest. They have very nice modern contemporary furniture. I use them a lot. Objects, Objects is
Object.
another contemporary place, and History for Hire if you need vintage. If you're doing a period piece, you go to
Yeah.
History for Hire, Pinacoteca for more modern pieces and art. So
Yeah.
there's a lot. There's a lot of places, a lot of sources, and you buy stuff too. And I go to Etsy a lot,
Okay.
buy original things because sometimes I like to get things that no one has seen before.
Right.
I
Yeah.
like because I don't want to rent pieces and people the other decorators watch the show and say, "Oh yeah, I've rented that." No, I don't want to do that all the
No,
time.
no, no.
I
I
like to buy things as often as I can, given the budget restrictions.
true.
Um, so I'll buy art, but I have to ask permission of the artist if they'll sign off,
Yeah.
give us permission. And rugs, I like to buy rugs where I can, even at Crate and Barrel or CB2 or West Elm or even Etsy, I get them from, Morocco because why not, right? And I like to buy vintage lighting. So there's a lot of sources online, and you just part of the fun is the search.
Yeah.
I
Well,
like this couple
it's
of
true.
what's that?
No, it's true because I've given tours of our sets before, and a lot of people, as one of the first things that they make comments about, it's like the set dressing, and I wonder where she got this, and like they start kind of noticing all the little details that you implement into the sets.
Well, thank you. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's fun because I like to layer it. I like to
Yeah,
make it look like real life. Like in a kitchen, well, I don't know, it's my kitchen, but I don't just have two things, like in Happy's place right now, Bobby or Reba McEntire is the kind of woman that she's so busy at work. I think
yeah,
she has more time at the bar than at home. She doesn't have time to I mean, she's not messy, but just to keep a immaculate kitchen. So she'll
yeah,
have things out, of bread and some canisters but layers of stuff, even pictures of her family and the
yeah,
bulletin board. So it's like recipes on the wall and just layers of stuff that make it look lived in. And I love doing that, even with small little things that no one else might notice, but I notice, or and Glenda notices, or and Glenda has just an amazing, what she edits really great. She knows just her suggestions and her designs are just so make it so easy for me to just work with, and
Yeah.
again, we collaborate so well. But I just shopping, like there's a great mall in Santa Monica called the Collection, like little antique malls. It's fun
Oh,
to buy
okay.
character things that help describe the character and their background, or where do they live, or this takes place in Knoxville. So I found some great art on Etsy, graphic art that's from farmers markets in Knoxville, Tennessee. That
Yeah.
I put in the kitchen. So I like to do stuff like that. So
Yeah, and
it's
all very noticeable.
no, thank you. Thank you.
So for a show like Frasier, how is that like to bring back a show that already existed, and how do you update Frasier's space?
Well, I think in the beginning, a lot of that was probably on Glenda, because she had the pressure to design his new house and
Yeah,
what, the writers and creators were taking that upon themselves to create the new Frasier, 20 years later.
right,
He's still very wealthy, where he lived in Boston this time, not in Seattle. So, he did have money, but we wanted to show elements of his old life, with some of his collections of like Colombian pottery, or some beautiful glass collections, and old antique books. But at the same time, we wanted to just make his living space a little more contemporary to the 2024 or 23, whatever year it was. So, and Kelsey requested a baby grand in the set, which
yeah,
we had. So it was kind of designed to that. The set was beautiful with the archways that Glenda did in the wood, and we did some shopping together, which is unusual but fun, because and we got a few. The sofa was beautiful. We just shopped all over. We bought most of the stuff,
okay,
um, and some of the art from Natural Curiosities, and so it was some pressure, but I think they seemed happy. So, but
yeah,
we created a new Frasier, so it was just fun. Oh,
yeah,
and that bar too. Oh my gosh, the bar,
Mahoney's,
Mahoney's bar, out of respect for an honor of John Mahoney, who played his
right,
dad. That was like a typical Boston bar in Cambridge, which is why they hung out, because he taught at Harvard, Fraser. It was like an homage to firemen, but they didn't want it too much, and more of they also wanted like an academic feel to it.
yeah,
So I put some antique books in the back bar, and we had some images of old Boston firefighter jackets, and old authors from way back when, and a whole mixture of things. And it was it's fun. I like doing those bars. Pretty good at it at this point. Done a couple of them.
yeah, I do notice that it always feels like it's a real like existing location out in the real world, and it's all because of those details of not making everything so perfect in a way, and adding personal touches as well.
Oh, absolutely. Like on, some of the leather chairs, actually, like, I think, was it Ryan Byer, my on set, someone in my crew did like put like grip tape on the back of a, like a leather part of the
Yeah,
leather booth to make it look, it's been there so long, and it's torn, but they didn't fix it. They just put tape on it,
yeah.
and we aged down the stools, and like for Mahoney's, I got different bent wood stools, and from different eras, and just to show this, the bar's been around for a long time, so it's fun.
Well, I'm interested to know how you got started in this industry and what one of your first jobs was.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, way back when. well, I studied broadcasting and film. I went to Boston University, and then I came out here. And I mean, my first job was an art department PA. I just fell into it on a movie called Shy People.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, oh, this is cool. I didn't really know what direction, but I wanted to go. And then I bounced around a little bit,
Yeah.
but I was drawn to the art department. So I think my next art department job was on a movie called Tap with Sammy Davis Jr. and Gregory Hines. And from there, I was kind of like a set dresser buyer. And I'm like, this is cool. I like that. And I just kept working. I did Fabulous Baker Boys as a
Hey.
shopper for Ann Aarons, who's an amazing decorator who
Yeah, I
I
know, Anne.
became her shopper for years. So I got a lot of sensibility from Anne,
Yeah.
um, decorating style. And I did a lot of features with her as a buyer. And then I worked with Lori Gaffin, another amazing decorator, and did a lot of features with her as a buyer, assistant decorator, and then I worked with Beth Rabino. So there's like three great decorators I assisted for many years. Um, and at some point, I'm like, you know what? I think I can do this. So then I had an opportunity, and I made the transition to decorator.
Yeah.
And I think what was my first show was Andy Richter Controls the Universe. So I just worked my way up the ladder because I had a knack for it, and my mother always loved design and style. So I always watched my mother, and talk to her about stuff like that. So just
Yeah.
working up the ladder and getting in with working with great people. So then I was lucky. So
That's great.
yeah.
Do you have any advice for any up and comers and like suggestions of what type of jobs they should be looking for?
Well, I would just say keep your mind open to anything. Try to work on student films and just to get experience.
Hmm.
There's a lot of that out there. And it's hard, but perseverance, it happens. It does happen. You can try to become a member of the SDSA, the Set Decorator Society,
Okay.
and go to those meetings and meet people, and just try to get even, I don't know how many internships there are, but PA jobs in
Yeah.
art department or even in production, and you can get your way into the art department that way. But once you do, I think a lot of it is attitude, no matter what you do, and if someone says go make 10 Xerox copies of this and go get me some coffee, you
Yeah.
got to with a smile on your face, because people notice that. So having a great attitude will get you far, I believe. I always would tell PAs like I'm too broke because
Yeah.
sometimes they both a couple would new ones would come by, and I would say just no matter what you do, just be happy about being there. Just your attitude resonates. So and it'll happen. It just takes a lot of work, but
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, it helps, like you said, to even have some kind of PA job just to be in the environment and to be able to have conversations like these,
yeah,
the professionals that are there that have been there for so long. And that way just kind of gets you step by step to your end goal.
absolutely. And when you do like a student film, you don't know who that student f- filmmaker is going to be one day. That could be the
Right.
next Steven Spielberg, and you could come up with that person, and you already have that connection. Um, so just be open to anything. Just get experience, and that will. The more experience you have, will be when someone recommends you. You
Right.
know, just then let people know you're available. So you know you can do it. Anyone can do it. Not anyone, but
Just work hard at it.
yes, don't give up if it's what you really want to do.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you can do it. So yeah,
Well, thank you, Amy. I really appreciate the conversation. I'm glad we got to celebrate you and
yeah,
your work.
me too. This was great. Thank you for having me, Hugo. This was
You're
great.
welcome.
Thank you.